on, everybody? Welcome back to Comics Kings, and welcome back to Archives. We are continuing our deep dive into the Ultimate Universe. This time, we're going to kick it off with Marvel's first family Ultimate Fantastic Four by Brian Michael Bendis, Mark Millar, and Adam Kubert. I'm so excited about this book. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if this kind of content interests you. Also, I encourage you to check out some of our other shows, such as Weekly Wrap Up, our weekly comic book review show, Crisis on Infinite Rants, and Creators Corner. Join us, and of course, this is Brandon.
Michael.
Stefan.
Like I said, you guys, we are going over Ultimate Fantastic Four. Got Michael and Steph. How are we doing this week, guys?
Phenomenal. Thank you for having me on as always, Brandon. Oh, can't wait.
This show is just as much as yours as it is mine and Steph. Steph, how you doing this week, brother?
Cannot complain. As we all know, I'm a big fan of the Ultimate Universe, and so this has been a pleasure to.
I think it's fair to say we all are. This
Yeah.
series, the Ultimate Universe is. I miss the Ultimate. I was telling you, Brandon, before we started. I just miss the Ultimate Universe.
We need it back in some shape or form, please. Marvel.
Yeah, before Ultimate.
Everything before Ultimate. I actually just got Ultimatum, like all the floppies.
Like if that's where it ended, if that's where we actually ended, I think I would have been fine with. I was like, cool. Here's the conclusion of the Ultimate Universe. Yeah. Here's Ultimatum, but they continued and it got destroyed. I actually liked that series. Ultimatum? I liked those annuals that were the 2-part story where they go in the future.
Oh, the FF and then the X-Men Fantastic.
Yeah, I like that 2-part story. Yeah, I liked that series actually. But yeah, and Ultimatum is actually good. Ultimatum is really good. Finch art. But then it is dramatically. This story is just gone after Ultimatum.
The only bright spots after that were Hickman's Ultimates, and that was short-lived. And then
of course, yeah. And then you get Miles Morales out of it. Yes.
Did he go on to do like Secret Warriors like halfway through his Avengers run, or didn't they? Wasn't that like his audition to be put on the main Avengers book? It was like one of the two.
Yeah,
right?
I personally think his Ultimates got him the Avengers in 616. But
it's beautiful. Assad Ribic 2 art on it.
Yeah. That's when their legendary team up began. Is their Ultimates run.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his Secret Warriors was running in like 2009, I believe. Yeah, and he was finishing up Secret Warriors at either like 2012, I believe. So that was like around the time his Ultimates run was wrapping up too.
Secret Wars comes like you got to read his Avengers run to build up to that, right?
Yeah, his Avengers and New Avengers, yes.
Okay, yeah, because I gotta read those on the digitals. I'm a little bit.
Secret Warriors is kind of contained though.
Yeah, I've read Secret Warriors.
Yep.
Yeah, Secret Warriors like Shield. It was like Agents of Shield, like what we saw in a nutshell. Deep diving a little bit more into the Inhumans and everything. Stefano Castellion art, Seven Segovia, loved it, absolutely loved it. We're here today to talk about Marvel's first family. This is the modern introduction of this team, of this one of the longest teams in comic book history. This is like the reason why. We have a lot of characters, such as the Skrulls, that we have the Inhumans, that we're able to have most of Marvel's cosmic universe. This is the modern retelling of this story. What are your guys' initial thoughts before we really deep dive?
Well, yeah, the Fantastic Four is ridiculously important to Marvel Universe in general. Yeah, you mentioned Inhumans, you get Silver Surfer, Galactus, you get Black Panther from the Fantastic Four storylines, and I love them together. They're immensely important. First off, with Reed being one of the smartest people, and then they're just their family dynamic, right? I love their family dynamic, and it's very rare to have that in comic books in general. So having it this long is amazing, and I love the retelling, like we said about the Ultimate Universe, just phenomenal. And then we get a retelling of that classic Marvel story.
Right. Steph, what are your initial thoughts about this book?
I was really excited about this when it was coming out. This was the Ultimate Universe, like we know, was built for new readers who weren't familiar with these and wanted to get like caught up with, what is still the essence of what these teams are. These, Spider-Man, Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men. But I hadn't really had too much knowledge. I knew of the Fantastic Four, but that's probably my least collected Marvel book in my entire run is Fantastic Four. Right. So I was looking at Ultimate Fantastic Four as like a jumping on point for me to really get comfortable with
these characters.
Marvel's first family. Yeah.
Right. For me, I think like when it comes down to which Marvel fandom I know best, so like that I kind of attached to, it's either going to be the X-Men or Fantastic Four, right? It's like it's not always going to be the Avengers for me. It may not always be Spider-Man, but I'm always so torn of which one I like better, Fantastic Four or the X-Men, right? I think like I like X-Men characters more, but as a story, I think I like the dynamic of the Fantastic Four. I think like I've kind of come to terms with that. So me reading this, I've read Hickman's before I read this. This is honestly like one of the more recent reads that I have. I'm only on issue 12 in my reading because I just got like issues 1 through 26 in like over the summer. So for me, a lot of these terms were familiar, and I am a huge fan of the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby stuff. That's my favorite of their collaborative work, which I think a lot of people can share that opinion. So to me, this kind of felt like that, but again, like more modernized, you know, how kind of like when we were discussing the Ultimates, right? And how that's the retelling of the modern Avengers is the retelling of the modern Fantastic Four. And I really liked how this took its own twist. And if we're talking about the first volumes of the Ultimate books that I've read, I haven't read Ultimate X-Men yet, so I'm going to just say that this one's my favorite so far. Like, I like this better than the first volume of Ultimate Spider-Man. And that's a hot take, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. I'm with that today.
No, it's good. Like you mentioned the Avengers, like the Avengers are like a work team, right? This is a family. That's why I love that dynamic about it. It's much different.
Right. Let's dive into it. So we start 21 years ago with Reed Richards' birth. He's born, in his family, at first they're happy with it, but the dad is a little bit like questioning, like your child's a little special, or like our child's a little special, right? So we kind of get a hint of what's to come as Reed is going to grow up in an environment where he doesn't have a great attachment to his father, and he's more attached with his mother, but she doesn't really get him, right? It's more like that motherly love, but she doesn't quite understand his disposition in the world. If that makes sense. So then we fast forward to 11 years ago, and he's getting bullied at school, and his best friend Ben Grimm is there to be his muscle, to be like that best friend that like you don't really pick on my friends, right? And this really starts their relationship that is so strong. The biggest difference between this book and the Silver Age Stan Lee and Jack Kirby is that we're focusing more on the surrounding characters, and we're starting more with them actually as kids and how they formed their relationship in the first place. Right. Which I don't think we've had before. So to me, this was really new, right? Or it was more of this is exactly how these guys would talk. The dialogue is very thoughtful. These are stuff that you would see in a regular classroom, right? Maybe not like swirlies or like putting kids' heads down the toilet.
Yeah.
I think the last time I saw that was in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but like, that's like the stereotypical bullying, you know, like, right. But it happens. It happens to everybody. He comes home, he has a sister, or it looks like he has two sisters, and he has a dog that you can kind of see right back here. The dog's a homie, you know, all dogs in comics are homies. I wish we could see more of the dog, but we automatically see that the dad is like more favored towards Ben Grimm because Ben is more of an athlete, he's more of a jock, he's more socially accepted than his son, right? So while him and his son don't really have similar interests, he's like, Ben, you know, stay for dinner, you're always helping. He's almost like the Harry Osborn of this, right?
Sure.
That kid that is just liked by adults because he's just that guy. He's just different. You can't not like Ben Grimm, even with the way he carries himself, right? So as we proceed, we start to like learn more about his science experiments that his dad doesn't support, which that's again a disconnect from the original 616 comics because his dad is actually Kang, right? Who is one of the biggest, baddest people out there. I was looking for another word, but he's Kang, right? Which is one of the biggest villains, or now is going to be one of the biggest villains. Thank you, Loki and Ant-Man 3. Now Kang is definitely going to be one of the bigger villains. But Ben is being a good friend because he wants Reed to teach him so Reed can feel like he can have people that he can talk to, you know. So as we continue, you know, Reed is doing his science experiments and they create a big boom. You know, the dog is there, right? The dog's always there. How can you not have a dog? But the mother is almost there after the dad yells at him, you know, like it's okay. You know, we see a lot of math. And I think the way that Millar and Bendis break down all the science and the math in here, it's not like over the top crazy, but it's really coherent, right? If you're not as well versed in math, because all of these, I just don't like math because it reminds me of my exes, and I'm not here for that. But you know, we get this big boom. The dad comes in, mom's there to kind of comfort him, and then there's this guy that we flip forward 6 months later to read at the science fair, and there's an agent there with him who's like kind of spying and recruits him to go intern at the Baxter building. Now Reed has already like developed this technology to look into other dimensions. Like at a young age, he's already studying how to transport or teleport other objects to other dimensions. So when he gets to the Baxter building, this was something that they already studied, and he just helped them put in like the missing piece of the puzzle. Almost like in The Force Awakens when they get the piece of the puzzle to find Luke, and then they're able to do so. They're able to put the piece together and go into the end zone, as we know that today is the negative zone, which is an alternate dimension, right? That has unique abilities. It had how would you guys describe the negative zone?
It's like a wasteland, kind of like it has a pure energy a lot.
How would you describe it, Steph?
I think Michael said it best.
Almost like a wasteland. So when he gets there at the Baxter building, which is like super dope because we know the Baxter building to be the home of the Fantastic Four, so we know where this starts. And then the guy who recruited him says like, "Yo, Reed, like this is the Baxter building," and he meets Dr. Storm, he meets Johnny, and he meets Stu. Later we're gonna meet Victor, but they automatically introduce him. And Reed just ends up going like fantastic to end the first issue. How are we feeling about this one, guys? Steph, you can go first.
That was a solid first issue for especially for someone who's not familiar with Fantastic Four. Like this was kind of my primer to become. I read this monthly as it was coming out, so it was like shortly before the movie and stuff. So, I enjoyed it. I think this was around the period when Bendis was firing on all cylinders. So was Mark Millar, and they just collabed for a great. I wish we would have had more collabs between great writers for the Ultimate Universe, but I really enjoyed it. Very good
100%,
first issue.
100%.
Absolutely.
Michael, what did you think so far?
I mean, yeah, it's a fantastic introduction so far. I mean, you really it kind of humanizes Reed in a way that the main 616 universe doesn't. Reed is always like kind of on this next level than everyone. Whenever he talks to anybody, especially his family, he's always thinking way too far ahead than anyone else can anyways. So he always seems to not be able to connect with anybody. But this one, it humanizes him a lot. Like it gives him a lot of like where he came from. More human problems, regular guy problems, being bullied and not being able to connect to his actual father and things like that. So it was really, really cool way of introducing Reed, because I know he's not one of the most popular characters because
he's not a likable guy. He's not a likable guy.
Exactly.
Like, in most case scenario, when it comes to bigger projects, either we're going to agree with Reed because he's just right and we have to, but most times he's just being a dick and we're able to call him out. Like in Civil War, the prime example of what led his family astray, what kind of broke his family, was his decisions, because he is the crutch of the family and he's not always there because he's caught up in his own mind. I kind of think of this. Has anyone here seen Young Sheldon?
Sure. Yeah, totally.
It was like the little spin-off from The Big Bang Theory. That's kind of what this reminded me of. Young Sheldon a little bit.
To what Michael said, this Reed was way more humble than 616 Reed Richards.
At least he starts out that way.
Yeah.
In this story, he starts out that way. He starts out as a more empathetic person, right?
Yeah. Him making things leads to something.
It's one of my new favorite, more modern villains. Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Spoiler alert! It's the Maker, guys, and I have a feeling I'm specking on this. Calling it now, he's going. If you guys are reading the modern comics, like what Donny Cates is doing, with Al Ewing and Ron V's Venom, I think that once the titles all come together, because it's inevitable, the Maker is going to be the one to do it.
I hope so. I want him to be.
We already saw Marvel Zombies. We've already seen the Maker. We've already seen Al Ewing's Defenders. This is for another video. but it's all
Even
kind of connecting.
Hickman's Secret Wars, he shows up in there too. That was
Yeah.
a big part. Yeah, like he's one of my favorite villains, and I think he's very much underutilized right now. And he's so cool.
Oh, he's
so
gonna
cool.
be utilized. I guarantee he's gonna be utilized.
Exactly. I'm hoping
he's
so.
gonna be utilized. It's like it's coming. Come on, like I'm
He could
telling
be
you.
like Doctor Doom and the Hood when the Hood was running things, and like he could be like a kingpin.
Yeah.
On like a Doom,
But
I don't know. He's on another level.
I think like I love Doctor Doom. I think he's like the perfect villain. He's the perfect comic book villain. But I think the Maker has a lot more. He doesn't care as much. Like at least Doctor Doom like has ties to like Latveria and things like that, right? He wants to rule the world. Where
well, Doctor Doom wants to care to have everything. Like if you guys read Strange #1,
exactly. But like the Maker, he's just like he just wants to know things. Like it doesn't matter about anything else. Like he doesn't care about anything else. And so like he's such a scary villain. Like an evil Reed Richards, that's terrifying. That's terrifying.
Right. I love it. I love it. So
we need random.
Oh no,
we
go
need him
ahead.
and Dark Beast to meet each other.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Have this like evil Avengers team or something like that. Would be so cool.
And you're gonna put Kid Apocalypse in that?
That would be so cool. Oh,
before he turns bad.
Yeah, that would be so dope. Or
that'd be so cool.
Even put like Kang in there just so we can tell them all the history. That would be so much fun.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be super good.
And I don't usually like Kang, but he fits the pitch perfectly. I feel like we need our own show where we just call it Pitch and we just discuss shit like this. That would be dope. If you guys want that, let us know in the comment section. Also, be sure to comment how you guys liked Ultimate Fantastic Four. We will see you guys there with your responses. Let's continue with issue number 2. This is where we start to see the supporting cast of characters. We get to know the first professor, Professor Malkova, a.k.a. Mole Man, right? We get to see Victor Von Doom, who's Victor Von Dame in here, right? Because that's his family name. I'm sorry?
Was it Van Damme or was it Van Damme? Like Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Van Damme? I don't know.
I just because I saw that, I just always thought it would be cool to say that, like Victor Van Damme.
Victor Van Damme.
Yeah, they try to make it more real, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it Dom? Like Hunchback of Notre Dame? No.
It could be that. Very well could
sure.
be.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'll have to ask Bendis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody whip out their phones, email Mark Millar or the editor of this, Nick Lowe. I'm sure he would know too.
Sure. Yeah. Totally.
Nick Lowe's a great editor. I love that guy.
Totally.
I love Nick Lowe. He did so much. He's so under the radar. But all right. So we get to know Mole Man, which is kind of cool because he is their first villain, and I love how they give him attention. Now, I don't know if anyone read a Fantastic Four life story, but
sure.
That was terrible because it started with it just skipped everything. And Mole Man was one of them. And it skipped Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four #4. And it just skipped everything, right? Just to go to their Galactus story. Like this was a thrown away pitch that I guarantee the writer had, and it was like, okay, now you can use it because it's Galactus. But anyway, Mole Man is really important to Fantastic Four, and I think that he is one of the most underrated villains in Marvel Comics simply because of the importance that his character holds legacy-wise, right? He's kind of cool too.
Army of Moloids, yeah.
Exactly. He lives underground, right? Like, come on, like that's so powerful. Think of like Toph Bei Fong and Mole Man if they ever met and became evil. Like that's dope.
And all his monsters, all his underground monsters.
Exactly. Like, come on. Like, it's a pretty cool concept. I like this character. So he's lecturing about what's going on. Reed Richards is studying, and like he's kind of giving Victor Von Doom a hard time in here. We see Reed studying in the negative zone, and Sue is there, and they're having a moment, which she has like this confidence in him that he's never had in himself. And I think that this conversation here is really powerful, right? Yeah. And if you guys are reading it, it is worth just looking at the way that the dialogue is formatted, because Reed thinks that Sue Storm's father, his boss, his big professor, his Albus Dumbledore, does not like him. He thinks he's not doing enough, which has always been a struggle of Reed Richards. I'm not doing enough, right? I have to know everything so I can protect everyone. I'm the only one who can do it because I'm the smartest. And that's like what the weight carries, right? And her confidence is very cool to see in here. Her confidence in him is very cool, right? Even if they don't know each other, like they don't know each other that well right now. I'm basically saying like they know each other probably for a month, right? Yeah. And she's distilling that confidence in him, that just speaks to her character as well. So all of these guys are well written. Reed calls his family, and he's feeling a little alone, right? He's having a little bit of trouble making friends. He realizes that, yes, I'm home, like this is where I belong, but it's like almost like I need that reassurance to leave the nest, you know?
Sure.
We get a cool little New York skyline, which is dope. I always love seeing that, especially because I like New York and I just want to go there right now. We see go ahead, Seth.
There's a cool little I think this moment was cool where he's on the skyline and he's like, you know, he's got his dad a gift and he's asking if his dad liked it, and his mom's like, no. And it was cool because, you know, he was getting that reassurance and confidence from Sue in the previous panel.
Right.
And then, you know, he's kind of like, he's got a little buzz. He's like, maybe things are looking up, you know, and calls home, and the one person, like, you know, he wants to always kind of impress his father, you know, that's kind of a goal of his, is to make his father proud of him. And he's just, you know, he can never win with his dad, so it's just he kind of gets knocked back down again. So it's like it emulates that teenager roller coaster emotional wave they go through.
Right. Ups and downs, right? Like, was your cat in the background?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, it's great. I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, sorry. He's being
It's the spider cat.
weird. Yeah, he's Spider Cat. He's out fighting crime. So he's just checking in on me.
He's just reporting, you know? Like, imagine if Bitewing like fought crime, like that'd be so dope.
That'd be adorable.
I know it would, right? Come on, Tom Taylor. You watch the show. You're subbed. Take notes. But so he goes back to his room and Victor's in there kind of rewriting his equations. Yes, he's right. Which this is like their first big interaction together. And Reed kicks him out. He's like, no, you're wrong. And then he like flips through. He's like, almost like when Sheldon Cooper is like, remember that one episode of The Big Bang Theory when he comes out and what's her name? Oh my gosh. Michael,
Amy.
You've seen the show. Not Amy. No. Lisa. No, the one who slept with Leonard first. Lucy. No, not Lucy.
I don't remember. It was a while ago.
The chick with the curly hair. Black hair. Oh my gosh. That's going to trip me up. But when she came out and all of his equations were wrong and she rewrote them and he was like, I hate this woman. It was like, it was great. And even though he knew that like she was right. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of her name? It's going to come to me and I'm just going to blurt it out like mid-show. You guys are not ready.
Yeah, but that's a thing I was kind of hitting on earlier was the standard 616 universe Reed. He doesn't get as like, he doesn't let the human emotions like get to him as often as the Ultimate Universe does. Like the jealousy thing. No, if someone just corrected his formula, he'd be like, oh, well then if you do this, then I can do this, and just go on from there, right? Where the Ultimate Universe, you saw it in this one. He's like, he's a kid too. He's a kid. He's kind of like at a whim of his emotions at this point.
Right. Leslie Winkle. That's who it was. Leslie Winkle from The Big Bang Theory.
Sorry, guys. So I wouldn't know.
The one show that I've watched and you haven't. The one show. So we see Mo-Man. He's talking with Dr. Storm, and he gets kicked out because of his project. So the army comes in. General Ross relieves him of his duties. He's researching basically the Moloids, right? How to create life underground, right? And how to use the earth to generate human life, which is pretty dope. But they don't see it that way. They see it as inhumane and dangerous. So he gets kicked out and he like swears revenge because he gives them the moving finger that all bad guys do and they leave for some reason. Yes. Yeah, he's like, I want you to come back to this later. Basically is what he's saying. So he disappears. And this is where things take a turn. We're in Nevada. So this is where they are doing their testing to go into the negative zone. And Reed and Victor are having a conversation, and then Johnny comes in, and Ben Grimm is there as well to see all of this. So there was, as they are transporting this apple, everything got like activated. I don't know if that's the right term, but it got activated, and they weren't protected for it, right? So it turns out that conversation with Victor, he changed the coordinates, right? Or he changed the coordinates, but not like the destination, basically. So it escalated everything. So the numbers were not correct.
And I think they were just trying to. I think the field of the explosion or whatever expanded. Like it was just supposed to be that one object, and it because Victor messed around with the calculations. Not only did he change the location, but he like expanded the field. And they like got caught in it, kind of, sort of.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I read it.
Right, I was like, yeah, because the way that they described it was simple but complex. Like, wait, so okay, so they just got like exploded into it, and they basically weren't wearing like their X-ray jackets. That's kind of how I,
yeah,
you know. So John, we see this is John. No, this looks like Reed. Yeah, so that's the end. That's the end of the second issue, going into the third.
What a cliffhanger!
Right? Yeah. Where are we going from here? So the apple's back, but like everyone else isn't. And then we see Reed crying out for help, and he is elongated. Right? His arms are going everywhere. His neck is. So they start firing at him. He's like, "Wait, no, it's me!" And they stop. Right? So then the father realizes that like Sue is gone and Johnny's gone. He doesn't really care, and then he doesn't really care about Ben because he doesn't really, no one cares about Ben right now because he's just the sidekick friend, and these are not his people. And Victor is gone as well. So Ben wakes up and he turns into the thing. So we see that this outcome of the situation is enhancing some mutation inside of them or some part of their body, right? Biologically. Reed, we obviously know, can extend, so this is the origin of their powers. And Ben Grimm has turned into the Thing, which you all know because he was the most popular member of the Fantastic Four for the longest time, i.e. Marvel 2 and 1. And Ben passes out, right? He wakes up and then he automatically just like passes out. So as we are like locating everybody, we see them first. Johnny wakes up in France. Johnny's in France and he's in the hospital and they don't know what's going on. So he burns up to a crisp and he leaves, right? They find him and then like they use a fire extinguisher to cool him down, which is really
classic.
Cool. It was really funny. And then so we're starting to realize what's going on. Reed takes responsibility for everything. And then we see Sue waking up in the underground layer of none other than Dr. Malkova, the mole man. And he's like
back.
And he's like, I'm so happy to see you. And then we go on to the third. This one was honestly the most dynamic issue for me. Yeah. There's either 3 or 4 for me that really stood out. Mostly because this is the origin of their powers. And it's like, now they're all confused, right? Reed is taking a lot of the guilt. And we see these problems that we've seen for years, right? Of like their beef, like why is Ben Grimm so depressed? Why can't he ever find that true love? I mean, he has today, but why was that a struggle for him for so long, right? Why is everyone jealous of Johnny? Because his powers are more socially accepted, right? So to me, this issue was really strong. How are you guys feeling so far? Steph, go on.
I thought, it was a great issue. Very interesting to see how they all were in different locations. So it's like this is a different kind of trauma than the OG or the 616 had to deal with, since they were all together essentially when it happened. Right. So not only did they like go through this traumatic experience, they woke up alone, like half different parts across the world. And so it was like an interesting to see them deal with that, to follow that.
Right, I agree.
I really enjoyed it.
Michael?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first big superhero hill they have to cross, right? This is them awakening. This is them seeing what's going on, understanding what's actually happening, not being able to stop it. So this is interesting to see where they go from here.
Right. Because this was really public in Nevada, right? Out in the open. Obviously, the U.S. Army is going to take notice of this, and now they're controlling the Baxter building. It's under strict supervision, and we are testing the powers of these guys. Reed is almost helping out with it because he was the one who came up with the equation, even though Victor was the one who changed like the numbers and everything for this all to to blow up. Like he kind of saw this coming. Like he wanted this to happen, which we are going to get in the second volume. When we revisit the series, it's going to be all about Doom. So I'm excited for when we do that, because that to me is great as well. And you get Warren Ellis, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say I like Warren Ellis as a writer. I like his writing. I don't care what anyone says. I like his writing.
Bad thing to say. Yeah.
You know, I like Jeff Johns' writing. I liked Max Landis' American Alien. They're all bad people. Well, maybe not bad, but you know, they're people. Yeah. We all make mistakes. But anyway, Johnny is this is where we get the flame on. So Johnny's like, oh, my fingers, and he's like, flame on? Oh no, and he starts by saying flames off. He's like, flames off, flames off. And then he's like, okay, flame on. And then they go on. I'm like, that's awesome. I love Johnny for this. You know, Johnny's just like that cool kid who just like, he's always, I feel like he always takes the initiative of the group, you know, and that's why we like Johnny.
Yeah.
So were you gonna say anything more?
Oh no, I was just saying he's a hothead. He's just, you know,
he's a hothead.
Things, yeah.
And MODOK.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That was good.
And MODOK's an airhead. Just don't tell him that. So
flying head. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like MODOK would be a great TV star, but I don't want all that fame and fortune to go to his head. I don't want him to get a big head over it. If y'all give this a thumbs down after that, I know why. So we see Ben and Reed talking. Ben asks Reed, he's like, yo, so like, is this reversible? Reed's like, no. And he's like, is this your foot? He's like, yes. And then he goes and attacks Reed, and we kind of see them fighting like for the first time, right? Because they were such they were such best friends, right? And now there's this rift in their relationship because of this. It's changing them, right? So Ben is now angry. Like, how would you feel if you woke up and you just looked like a pile of rocks? Like, if you, like, I don't know. I'm trying to say this in like the nicest way possible, but how would you feel? Wouldn't you be a little ticked off too?
Well, yeah, of course. Especially seeing like how he got like the worst end of the stick. The rest of them can turn it off. He can't turn his off.
Yeah.
Like, he got the worst end of it, and it was his best friend's fault. It's kind of hard.
Sorry. See, you're no longer my bad. And especially because he had Reed's back all those years.
Yeah, exactly. He had to cover for him like so long. And this is what he gets for it.
Right. And then Reed obviously like calms him down, and then he's like, and then Reed's like, you just gotta stick and stay until I fix this. He's like, yeah, like what choice do I have? Like he's like, I'm fucked with this. I'm screwed, guys. We flip over to Mole Man, and now we were kind of talking about Warren Ellis being a creep. Now this is like a whole new level, right? This is a whole new level. This is where the Ultimates kind of got a little PG-13. This is where they started diving into their more I would say that there are more things in comics than just sunshine and rainbows. Like this shows like more of the real life situations out there of like, this is how some people view others, right? This is how some people act towards others, which is unfortunate, but in storytelling, when you're making comics realistic, I think it's necessary. And we spoke about this a little bit with the Ultimates. So did any of your opinions like change in this scenario of how Mole Man is written?
Well, I think this is pretty toned down a little bit compared to the Ultimates. I think the Ultimates is meant to be the over-the-top book. I think the Mole Man is meant to be like their first kind of big challenge besides their own internal struggles. So this seems appropriate. Right.
Steph, what do you think about this? How Mole Man is written?
If you notice all the edgy moment, like, the edginess comes from Millar and the Ultimates, and then he kind of, I would assume the edgy Mole Man was an idea of Mark Millar, and luckily Bendis was handling like the scripting, so he kind of edged it off a little bit. But I think it's just, that was kind of like the staple to show more realistic depictions of
some of these characters.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, mine still has a Toys R Us ad in here, and I think that it's really expired. You still got yours?
You should turn it in. I the 200, man.
I should. I'd be like, yo, watch Kenny the Shark and Tuddenstein.
I even know NBC did cartoons in the early 2000s, so don't copyright us.
I mean, I even got the trading cards. Steph, did you get the trading cards?
Yeah.
Did we get the same ones?
Kenny the Shark and the Mummy, yeah.
Yay! We got the same ones. Okay, anyway, let's talk about this creepy guy Mole Man. So he's explaining how he found Sue because like he projected where everyone was going because he can spy in the Baxter building. He's tapped into like the Baxter building. So he sees everything happening and he went and got her and brought her back because he loves her. Now keep in mind this is somebody who like saw these kids grow up. Right? He was almost like their uncle, or like their godfather. Like he was for the longest time, he was Dr. Storm's number 2 or number 3. Like he was always there. He saw these kids grow up, and I think Sue's still underage. So for him to say that, I'm just like, cool, nice. No, wait, no, they might be 21 in this, right? Because it's like 21 years ago. And then we flip forward.
Could have been like 18, 19 or something like that. But still, it's still weird nonetheless.
It's still weird. Yeah, it's still weird.
It's still weird. There's nothing else that I can say to like make it better. And I'm not trying to, so don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to make it better.
Started on Professor X and his feelings.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, that gets weird too.
Really? I'm gonna have to read that.
The Ultimate Universe has its issues, man. It really does. I like I mentioned before. It's overall, I think it is what it's meant to be, and I like what it's what they were supposed to, what they were doing with it. But the criticisms everyone has for it, I think, are pretty valid. Yeah.
Right. And if we didn't say this earlier, Sue Storm can turn invisible. That's why she's the Invisible Woman.
Yep.
Right. So we get a lot of back and forth dialogue between Sue and Bowman because I mean she doesn't really have anywhere else to go. We get dope little ads of like these new PS2 games, which is again so nostalgic to me. And probably Stefan too.
I miss my PS2.
Yeah, right. Lego Star Wars. That's all I played on the PS2. It was like Lego Star Wars and Madden. I was like 5, 6 years old. Madden 6. Sean Alexander on the front cover. Oh man. That's installed. That's all. Like okay, so we see like that this thing like comes out of the back of like the ground, right? And Johnny is the first one to really like die. Or no, that's in the next issue. But like we end up seeing like this big thing like coming out of the Baxter building, which carries into issue 5. I'm just gonna jump right in because these run so concurrently with each other. It's like one after the other. Like we're picking right up with the events. Johnny's the first one to jump out the window and like go save the day because something is coming out of the ground. We don't know what it is. It's like a dragon, right? So after we see Johnny like automatically learn his flight powers, Johnny's a fast learner with his powers, which I think is also kind of leading to the jealousy. I mean, he's the best looking one in the group. He's the most he's the most social one in the group, you know, because they took that away from Ben, and he gets everything easier. He's just more athletic. He is more well-rounded. Yeah. Which is why everyone gets jealous of Johnny. Right, but he's also the most passionate, I would say, when it comes to not really being a superhero, but doing what needs to be done. He's very passionate about let's just get it done. You know, like let's stop messing around. Let's go. We got to go. You know.
I mean, he is the one that messes around the most, but yes.
But when it's time for him to turn the flames on, he turns them on, and he's very good at that.
Yeah.
You know, I would say Johnny is. I would say Johnny is very mistreated, not mistreated, but like he's looked at as like again, like Seth said, like this hothead. He's like kind of immature, but sometimes he's the one who brings that energy to the group.
Sure. I mean, I like that was my favorite part of the Lee Kirby run though, was how Johnny was so immature and played all these pranks on the Thing all the time, which is probably my favorite part of the movies. Actually, the early 2000 movies I think that was like the most accurate version of comic book accurate version of the movies was all the pranks that Johnny Storm would play on the Thing all the time. And I like that dynamic. He's this kid at heart, man. He's just kind of going along the seat of his pants. He doesn't need to try. You know, he's like, I fly through life literally and figuratively, man. Like it's all good, you know. But sometimes you can't do that. He has to be confronted with something big every once in a while, and he proves himself every time.
Those movies were not terrible. I'm going to be the first one to say it.
No, I like them. They're not good, but I liked them. They're fun. They're very, very fun.
What do you think of the movies, Steph?
They're enjoyable.
Like, they're rewatchable. I mean, better than the remake that they
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
It.
We're not. But I liked the first two. Like when I saw them, I think like I saw them before I even knew what Marvel was, and I was like, yeah, these are fun. I think like I missed it. I don't know why, but like when I saw it, I guess I just like missed the Marvel logo. I don't know, but like I didn't know it was Marvel at the time when I was like growing up when I saw the movie. So that probably was like the first superhero movie outside of Star Wars that I saw. And it was like I didn't even know it was Marvel. I didn't know what a Marvel was. Just like I still don't know. I don't know what a Doomsday Clock is. But
you don't need to.
Michael gets it. So then we see Ben jumping out too to go save the day, followed by Reed, and they're just attacking this monster, and they end up winning. They let the army like do the rest, but this is like their first field test with their powers, like out in the open, right? And this is where the public sees Ben, sees Reed, sees Johnny Storm. They all think they're mutants, which is like the funniest, which is not really funny, but because we already had Ultimate X-Men coming out before this, right? This was 2004. Ultimate X-Men was what, 2003?
Mm-hmm.
Correct me?
Yeah, around there. I think it was like late.
Oh, I think 2002 because Spider-Man came out in 2001.
Yeah.
So I think it was the next year. Yeah.
So this was because this was 2004. This was after all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Fantastic Four came out the tail end of 2003. Because I always associate the first issue with like Kanye West's song, that Luther Vandross.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like Christmas time around then. Yeah. So, but yeah, like Michael said, 2001 Spider-Man, 2002 was X-Men, and then 2003.
Right. Because if this is coming out monthly, this issue came out June of 2004, issue 5. So like you backtrack, it's like right there. It's right there. So, so obviously, like we're all thinking that these guys are mutants, and then that hole leads to where they're keeping Sue, or where Mole Man is keeping Sue. So we dive in there, and Johnny like throws up a torch, and we just see them getting attacked by a bunch of Moloids. Which this is where we get to the good stuff because Mole Man knows what's going on. He's not stupid. He's a very smart person. Right, so now we are on the last issue of this. This is where we're gonna sum up this first arc with Mole Man as their first big bad, which is I can't even preach how important this is that Mole Man is their first villain because it's a direct like love letter to that first Fantastic Four issue. Like this, like the one when you're talking about Ultimate Spider-Man, like the first I would say 3 issues resonate with the first one. This is like you could say the first issue of Fantastic Four.
Sure.
Right, but just thought out into a more modern story, right?
And like turned up to like 11 on this one, man. Right. Like the Moloids themselves are like creepy as hell, man.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right. You know, and the second issue of Fantastic Four, Skrulls, we went to space. So, and then we came back and we found Doom. So this is like when I talk about Fantastic Four, I'm like, this is why I love Fantastic Four is because like you have all of these villains that are they're great villains. I think that Fantastic Four has a great Rogues Gallery. Gallery, you know. I think you can compare it to Batman. You can compare it to the Flashes. You can compare it to Spider-Man. It's right there. I would make that argument.
Sure. You can definitely make the argument.
Steph's looking at me like, yeah, no. You're like
you're welcome to make that statement. I don't share that as much as you, but that's like Michael said, you're more than welcome to make that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if like you can back anything up in like this medium, I mean, it's warranted if you're reading.
Of course.
So we're fighting Moloids.
I think the Fantastic Four has like the best like events, like in a single ongoing title. This isn't a big event book. I think they have the most like memorable moments in comics, especially when they meet all these different kind of people that end up being like hugely important to the Marvel universe in general. Like the Fantastic Four are ridiculously important to just the foundation of what Marvel is now, you know, with everything they brought to the table. So I think that's where the true like trophy is for them.
Right. So they find out that that Sue is being held captive, and she like turns invisible and runs right into Reed. Like that is the first person she goes to, not her brother, who is the one who really wanted to find her more than anyone else. Not the Thing. She went straight to Reed, which is like really great for their relationship, and this is where we get to see more of her powers as well as they're being attacked, and she does like the force field thing like as like a defense mechanism, and she didn't even know that she could do it, which is really cool to see that this is all taking place, and we see Mole Man just trying to walk them through all of like the science that he's been figuring out while they've been trying to figure out their powers. He's like, I'm trying to figure out why this is happening. It's just he's going about his own adventures in a very inhumane way, which is wrong. But everything else that he's doing, he's almost like a mentor to Reed, right? So if you guys have seen Harry Potter, he's like Professor Quirrell, right? He's just not trying to bring Voldemort back. He's just not trying to bring Moloids alive. So same thing, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
Quirrell wasn't a really crazy mentor, but yes, I see what you're trying to get at.
He was the first one that Harry met at Diagon Alley.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
My mind, guy. Okay. Anyway, this is what
I would say that's more Hagrid, but sure. Yeah, totally.
This is why. Well, Hagrid never went bad. I mean,
No.
Aragog did, but like Hagrid didn't. I mean, this is why Michael needs to lead more. This is why Steph needs to lead the next one.
No, you got this, man.
This
This
is why
is making
Steph,
sense. I'm enjoying
this is
this.
why
This is good.
Steph is leading the next one, guys. Okay.
Well, you have it easy, man. Like Ultimate X-Men's like the best one. It's my favorite one. I'm so jealous of you, man. I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
so
gonna kill it. You're gonna kill it.
So we're fighting, right? This has like a lot of action there, but the dialogue is really cool because not only it's like they're fighting and talking, so it's like it's hard to like really break down, but they're learning at the same time about themselves. Like, because we're so young and into this book and into this family, and Mole Man is like, no, like he lost, right? So his Moloids, they're just like they're still swarming, and we end up getting out of there because the whole cave just comes crashing down because Ben is just like going crazy, just clobbering everything, you know, because it's clobbering. He didn't say it's clobbering time in this first volume, which is my only pet peeve.
Yeah.
He never said it's clobbering time. And I'm like, damn it, Millar, y'all couldn't have done that. Like, if you did flames on the perfect way, where he's like, flames off, flames up, oh, flames on. That's the way I read it. Like, why couldn't you have done like it's clobbering time? This would have been the perfect time for that.
Yeah.
So we continue with Sue using her force field powers, and I guess she's able to turn people invisible, or like, I guess phase them through. Am I reading that? Did I read that correctly? Because it was almost like it wasn't like she teleported them, but like everything turned black, and then we wake up in the negative zone, or like we flash back to the negative zone.
I think she might have just been moving them up through the rubble or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she can move those platforms that she makes and stuff like that. So
yeah. So
and we also found out that through Dr. Mole's cameras that he was that Van Dam Doom was the one who messed with
he was the culprit.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
Reed kind of had been taking the blame on his shoulders at this point, and so that kind of let him know it wasn't his fault that this bad stuff happened.
Right.
Kind of is, but not really.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steph. I completely missed that. Thank you so much, Steph.
No.
So we find that out that it is Doom. It was Doom all along. You know, it was Fietro.
Of course.
It was Doom all along. Guys.
I just assume that whenever I read a Marvel book. Is Doom? Is this Doom? No. Okay, never mind. It's fine. I just read that wrong. Yeah.
Today's Marvel is Doom, Mephisto. Doom, Mephisto. Doom, Mephisto.
It's either Doom or someone else. That's usually how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, right. It's like my first option. Whenever something bad happens, Doom's gonna be there, and Namor's gonna be there because Namor's been making his rounds and appearances lately, and I'm here for that. I am so here for Namor just to say, like, when Judgment Day comes and like Namor goes to like fight, I hope he just says, no, fuck you people. Like, I'm good down here.
He's a savage, yeah.
Like, he's like, you're petty. I want him to look at Judgment Day and be like, your stupid stubborn event Marvel means nothing to me.
He kind of did that recently in Jason Aaron's Avengers run. You know,
yeah,
he's just like, screw the surface world.
He's like,
you guys are trash anyways. I'm not gonna be anyone's friend.
He did it the Hellfire Gala too. He's like, you guys might be immortal, but like, you still suck.
Yeah, because that was my favorite part. Like, I love his arrogance. It's ridiculous. Yeah, during that part when they like invite him again, he's like, why would I need to be here? I'm a king. Like,
he's like,
I'm just laughing at you guys are crazy.
You're crazy. He's like,
that was a good joke, Xavier. That was funny. Oh.
And Eric, nice.
Yeah.
He's like he's just a troll, and I love it. Or no, the best was during the wedding of Doom when he found out that
Yeah.
Johnny
that
was
funny.
sleeping.
That was super funny.
Oh, with Victorious. Oh my gosh, Namor troll Doom like there was no
was so
tomorrow.
funny. He's in the face of any kind of adversity, no matter how big. It's always Namor is going to be. You can rely on Namor to be arrogant as hell. Like
Right?
it doesn't matter if he knows he's going to lose. He's just like, no, I'm Namor.
He's like, I
Get outta
don't. Even
here.
when I lose, I don't. In my eyes, I don't.
Yeah, I don't lose.
Never tell me the odds because I win
My
every
winning
time.
was just postponed for a moment of my
Exactly.
choosing, of course. Of course.
Yo, I love Namor. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we're talking in the negative zone, and they're saying like basically we need to find Victor. The father is kind of, or Dr. Storm is kind of, he's really taking this to heart because he made a promise to their mother, who we now know is deceased, that he would look after them, and that wasn't the case. So now we have the next issue is like we find Doom, right? So where's Doom? We know he's in Latveria. Warren Ellis and Stuart Immonen are going to take over the series from here for the next few issues. Stuart Immonen, and there was one other artist that I cannot think of. It was not Ethan Van Sciver. It was Stuart Immonen and
Pascal Ferry.
And Pascal Ferry. Yes, thank you so much. And that's really
work.
exciting.
Lined up. The artists on these Ultimate Universe books are just phenomenal.
Right.
I mean, because again, you get Andy Kubert on X-Men coming up. Oh,
right. What I kind of want to open the floor to discussing is just how simple of a story this is, and it's not a big event. A lot of times, and this is why I think like I've been enjoying reading this stuff a lot more lately, is because we just get to see character development without the next big event, right? There's no distraction. We're just working on these characters and growing with them or progressing, right? I feel like there's more of a longer term story, but also focusing on making sure that each arc is important to the character, right? And I feel like that concept gets lost in a lot of modern comics simply because we have to hit the deadline for this event, for this event, for this guy, right? Do you guys feel the same way, or how are you guys feeling about this?
Well, I think part of the reason of the success of the Marvel Universe or the Ultimate Marvel Universe is because there weren't so many titles. They kept it to like 4 titles, at the most monthly, and maybe you'd have a mini series in between all those. But it was like a small group of writers, really, and it was just really more contained and more focused, to be honest. So I don't know, maybe it's harder to do that on a wider scale for like the regular 616 line. Them trying to map out all those events, but yeah, I would say that is an issue. That's been an issue. There's no build. At least back 10, 15 years ago, there used to be a build up to these events. Now these events, they come and go, and there's like no reason at all. Like there used to be a reason for these events. Sometimes now there's reasons, but it can be a little flimsy as to how much weight it actually.
Not like this is in this writer's contract.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there was no point for Heroes Reborn. Like you just put Heroes Reborn as an arc in the Avengers, and it reads the same way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's an Avengers story. It's just Aaron wanted to tell an Avengers story.
Or Trial of Magneto. Just call that X Factor 13 through 17. The book sucked anyway, so it's not like
I was so disappointed with it. Oh my god, I was so disappointed with that book.
It was funny because like the first 2 issues were great, and then Leah Williams like, yeah, I gotta come on. I'm like, sure. And then like after she hopped off, I'm like, the book sucks. I'm like, I can no longer give this book a good review. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I like books that can breathe a little bit more, And this book definitely has that breath of fresh air. We're just like learning with these characters. We don't get an overcomplicated villain. Mole Man is pretty straightforward. He's pretty low key. He's pretty down to earth, I would say.
Yeah. Sure.
I think that's the point of these books, though, man. Like we're literally starting over, with all these big Marvel heroes that everyone already knows, but you have to tell it in a more modern and fresh take. And you don't have time. You can't just rush right into an event yet. You have to build. So we're getting these amazing stories again, like very comparatively to how Marvel usually started, but obviously more of a modern and updated take. But like it's such a cool way of really telling these characters stories once again, because I think, like Stefan was kind of alluding to, is like you get lost in a lot of these big random events that happen, right? All these characters that you have to throw everyone at, so you don't get a chance to talk to everybody, or not talk to everybody, like get to know everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. From a writer's perspective, I'm like, this is like so great because like when you look at how like Spider-Man started, the X-Men started, the language was like it wasn't as concretely. You had a constantly explain, with my power of magnetism, I am going to electromagnetically blah blah blah. Right there, you can't get away with having a 5-syllable like word or like a 5-syllable phrase in that day and age, right? Unless like it's Stanley saying Excelsior, but What I'm trying to say is like these books like reimagine those classic moments, but they breathe them. They like kind of expand what Stan Lee and Kirby started. Like what they scratched the surface with, they're just expanding. And Steve Ditko too with Spider-Man, of course. You can't not put Ditko in there. I know Fable would put Ditko out of the conversation, but he's in it today. But I like how we are taking these, like even the Uncle Ben moment in Uncle Spider-Man, or in Ultimate Spider. I just said Uncle Spider-Man. In Ultimate Spider-Man was so like it was so well told in the way that like he didn't just die, right? We saw him for 4 issues before he did. Spoiler, that's issue 4. But that's what I really appreciate about this. Before we head out, do we have any more remaining thoughts that we would like to talk about with this book?
Read it.
Yeah, it's worth it. Absolutely. Still 20 years later, it's
true. Fantastic. All the Ultimate books, like the main Ultimate books. If the Ultimates is a little too edgy for you, and you can hear the criticism, you don't like it, totally valid. You don't need to read that one. The other ones I think hold up very, very well. X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man of the Ultimate Universe, the beginning part of it for sure, hold up very, very well. Are great stories, especially Spider-Man. Yes.
Right. I agree with what you guys just said. This was a great starting point for Fantastic Four fans. And you get to learn the family dynamic. Like you get to see where these moments started, right? You're like, oh, I know of this when I see the Fantastic Four. This is where it started. So if that interests you, totally. I highly recommend you guys going back and checking it out. It's worth it. Coming up on the channel, we have a guest list for April for Creators Corner. We have Mark Waid, Muhammad Aswar. We have Roy Thomas and Declan Shavley for this month, which is going to be really exciting. We may have more, but for now, that's what we can announce. Other than that, every Monday, you can catch Bryce and I live for weekly wrap-up, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I am getting a new job, so if anything changes, we will let you guys know on Instagram. The link in the description is down below as well. It's for Michael's TikTok and Instagram and Stefan's Instagram as well. And then you can catch Stefan and I dropping amazing content for Whiplash Wednesday. We do Crisis on Infinite Rants. That is where we talk about a conversation and we deep dive into it. And we discuss, right? And it's a lot of fun. We are going to be talking with one of our friends, Sal, or we already did this past Wednesday, if you guys are seeing this then, about the most underrated X-Men characters. So that gives us the opportunity to revisit some mutants that may have gotten lost or maybe you've forgotten about that maybe we would like to see with a role increase. I already have some in mind that I want to talk about, but make sure you guys check out the video and let us know some of your favorites as well. What else do we have coming out? Michael, what do you got going on TikTok?
Oh, I'm always doing something on TikTok. I have my meet my Nerd Talk mutual event that I always do. I do these TikTok lives and talk to any of the Nerd Talk creators and things like that and get to know each one of them, with how they get started, what they like, what's going on. I have another one which I'm very excited about on this Saturday at I believe it's 4 p.m. Should be fun. Pacific time.
4 p.m. your time? Nice.
Pacific time.
Yeah.
Really fun.
We should do that. Yeah, and I've been dropping TikToks too. I think I just did this. I did this weird like Marvel merchandise and like people liked it. So I was like, they're like totally. part 2, part 3. I'm like, I don't know. There was like my favorite was like a Hulk and Spider-Man like toilet paper, and my joke to that was, this is a waste of money. I already have the whole Nick Spencer Amazing Spider-Man, the whole roll of Charmin toilet paper. I thought that was really funny. But guys, make sure you guys follow us on our socials for more information. Thank you guys so much for checking out and interacting with the channel. Take care, you guys. Have a great rest of your night.
Yeah!